He's making a conscious decision to let his base know that when I said I want to build a wall, I meant to build a wall. He's running against Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and others. The Congress is very unpopular, particularly with the Republican base. So there's nothing unhinged about it. It's a political strategy.
Welcome back. Let's bring in tonight's panel. Joining me from Washington, Yamiche Alcindor, national reporter for the New York Times and an MSNBC contributor. Daniela Gibbs-Leger, senior vice president for communications and strategy at the Center for American Progress. And Alfonso Aguilar, president of the Latino Partnership for Conservative Principles. He was the former chief of the U.S. Office of Citizenship under President George W. Bush. Yamiche, gosh, I almost, want to say, will the real Lindsey Graham please stand up? We asked that question about the president yesterday. What is going on with Lindsey Graham?
It's really incredible because I think that Lindsey Graham has obviously been someone who has somewhat been very critical of the president, been very ready to do this. But in some ways, I think that the Republican Party as a whole finds itself having to continuously, in some ways, dance around the fact that Donald Trump is still president and that they have to get things done.
So is this how you do it, Daniela? Is this how you go about it? You, on one day, slam him and say you don't agree with him or he shouldn't be tweeting this, and the next day you say it's all political strategy, I agree with him?
I mean, I guess that's what they're going to have to do. I'm almost feel a little sad for him. He must wake up in the morning and open up his phone and say, okay, which Lindsey Graham am I going to be today based on what Donald Trump, what craziness he's tweeting? I mean, look, the Republican Party, they're going to have to figure out what's more important. Passing, their plans that are, going to give tax cuts to the wealthiest Americans or, saving the country from Donald Trump. They're going to have to figure out which is their priority.
Alfonso, do you think it's that dire?
Well, look, let me first of all defend Lindsey Graham. Look, obviously, as Republicans, as conservatives, we have a president who's very particular, needless to say, and we're going to, a position for the sake of a position is worthless. So we're going to take him a day at a time, an issue at a time. And I think on this issue, Senator Graham is just stating a fact that President Trump cares deeply about, building a wall and border security. Is it worth shutting down the government over building the wall? Probably not. But, I don't think it helps to oppose the president every time he says something that's out of whack. So I think Senator Graham has been very focused in terms of what are the things that he's going to criticize about Donald Trump.
Alfonso, you sound like a baseball manager who's dealing with a player who's got a hurt ankle. We're going to take it a day at a time. This is the president,
well, no,
and he's a Republican. It's the Republican Party.
I admit it. I mean, my position is nuanced. Look, we live in Washington, and people force you to say you either love Trump and you have to defend him at every turn, or you have to attack him at every turn. I'm not going to be like that.
So
I'm a
is the
conservative.
answer, I don't necessarily love him, but I'm trying to deal with him?
I don't necessarily love him, but I agree with most of his policies, so I'm going to try to work with him. And when he does something really wrong or says something really outrageous, I will criticize him.
Yamiche,
but I think this is what's remarkable, right?
Yeah.
This is what the Republican Party, what's so remarkable about the Republican Party. As soon as the whole Charlottesville thing happened, and on that Tuesday, that kind of raucous press conference that the president held, I tweeted that day, this feels like Access Hollywood. There's going to be a lot of Republicans who are going to come out. Yeah. They're going to say that he's morally bankrupt, that he has all these issues. And then by the time recess has ended, people are going to say, well, we still have to work with him on policy, so let's talk about that. So if you call someone morally bankrupt, it's really hard to then turn around and say that the Republican Party is going to work with them. But that is the conundrum that they are in. Republicans have to work with the president because their legacy stands out.
What about, hold on, Alfonso, what about the credibility of Congress? Congress's approval ratings are in the tank right now. They have been for some time. And people don't trust them. So if a congressman comes out and says the president is morally bankrupt, or I could never vote for him, I couldn't look my children in the eye and vote for this president, which many Republicans did back after the Access Hollywood tape, how do they then go to the American voter, their constituent, and say, believe me on this issue when I flip-flopped on the others, believe me when I tell you to vote for or support this president on this idea, don't mind the fact that I said he was a reprehensible human being, or all but said that, just the other day?
Right. I mean, that's the problem, is that they have no credibility and that they're willing, to sell out their own. I mean, I hear you saying no, but I'm sorry. I think it's absolutely true. You can't, on one hand, say that this president is morally bankrupt and that he continuously does things like condone the behavior of white nationalists, and then on the next day say, oh, you know what, it's okay. We need to work with them on policy.
But what do you propose?
That they need to stand up. That they need to stand up and say, actually, you know what, this is not normal. I think the problem is that we are talking about Donald Trump as if he is a normal president and that anything that has been happening since 2016 is normal. We're not there right now.
If I may, we have to put this in perspective. This is an administration that's 7 months in. Like it or not, he is our president. We have to work with the White House. So just opposing him and just saying, we're not going to work for him, I mean, that's going to hurt the country. And that's the position the Democratic Party is in. I mean, they're going to have to be willing to propose ideas, to work with Republicans if they want to get support from the American people.
Well,
right now, they're just
dealing
complaining.
with whether or not they are going to, is their base, is the Democratic base going to be willing to allow them to support the president? There's also a lot of folks out there who just want to see things get done and don't care who you work with to do it. Roger Stone, though, it's good to bring him up on this topic. He had an interview today where he was warning lawmakers that if they even thought about impeaching Trump, they were going to be in danger. The people who are calling for impeachment are the people who didn't vote for him. They need to get over it. People will not stand for impeachment of President Trump. Any politician who votes for it would be endangering their own life. Yamiche, wow.
I think Roger Stone is saying that, and I think that there's a little bit of truth to that, but apparently, obviously, that's in some ways really, I guess, making a big deal out of that. Because here's the thing: like, yes, it is an issue if Democrats only make impeaching Donald Trump their main issue. I'm just writing a story that'll be out tomorrow that talks about the fact that Democrats are still struggling when it comes to their messaging. Do they want to talk about Confederate statues? Do they want to talk about the Voter Integrity Commission? Do they want to then do Rise and Organize, which is what the DNC is doing? So they have to kind of actually have something to offer to the American people, whether that be that we're going to be fighting racism or whether that be that we have the economic answer. That said, I don't think it's completely ridiculous for at least for Democrats who have really been opposing him for a long time to say, you know what, I want him impeached. I don't think it's going to hurt them. I don't think it's going to help them either. Republicans, of course, cannot do that because they have to work with their party. And the Republican who says impeach Donald Trump is going to find themselves in hot water when it comes to getting primaried, when it comes to getting stuff done, when it comes to, even though Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump are arguing, Mitch McConnell is still realizing that the party has to get things done.
Getting funding for their re-election races. Yamiche, Daniela, and Alfonso, stay with us. Appreciate the conversation.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.